Does anybody remember? He called it battle cake because everyone has gathered for that cake of kingdom. Right? Everyone wanted the kingdom. And why the battle was happening? Because Duryodhan wanted to have the cake for himself, the entire cake. He was not ready to even share a particle of cake with the Pandavas. What to speak of pie of the cake. उसका ना ही एक हिस्सा बट कि एक कण भी वो केक का देने के लिए रेडी नहीं था. तो दैट इज नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल, राइट? बिकॉज वो क्षत्रिय थे, उनको फाइट करने का था. तो उसके लिए उन्होंने बोला कि अभी युद्ध अनिवार्य है, युद्ध होके रहेगा. हाँ, सो उसके लिए वो था. एंड देन एंड में हम लोग ने एक और चीज डिस्कस किया था जो आगे इसमें थोड़ा बहुत कंटिन्यू होगा. इसके लिए विल डू दैट एंड देन विल स्टार्ट अवर सेकेंड वर्स टुडे. डज एनीबडी रिमेंबर धृतराष्ट्र के दिमाग में क्या चल रहा था? दो चीजें चल रही थी ना. वेरी गुड, वाओ, वेरी हैप्पी विथ योर मेमोरी. फियर एंड डिजायर, एंड दैट्स वेयर वी कम विद एक्रोनिम एंड सम ऑफ दिस एग्जांपल्स. एफडी, राइट? सबको एफडी याद रहता है. हाँ, कि भाई मेरी एफडी कभी मैच्योर होने वाली है, व्हेन आई विल हैव दैट एंड आई विल लाइक इधर उसको रिकरिंग वापस से डाल देंगे, रिन्यू कर देंगे, या तो विल गो आउट ऑन वेकेशन और समथिंग, कुछ तो करेंगे उसका, राइट? सो एफडी इज नथिंग बट अ फियर्स एंड डिजायर्स. एंड फियर्स एंड डिजायर्स की वजह से चार चीजें हमको फियर्स और डिजायर्स देती है, राइट? एंड व्हाट आर दोस फोर थिंग्स? पॉप्स याद रखने का हमेशा. पॉप्स, थिंग्स पॉप अप, राइट? नाउअडेज ऑन द इंटरनेट. So it pops up. So what is that pops up thing is? Pops is people, object, position and situation. These are the four things will become your obstacle or your opportunity, right? Your boss will become an opportunity or obstacle for you, for your promotions or anything, right? So it depends on whether he is a fear or a desire. Okay, so that's what we have discussed last, and that's where Dhritarashtra is kind of always stuck into that fear and desire battle. Now today we'll be starting with the second verse. So you all can open in your it's you have shared the link, Prabhu? Otherwise it's vedabase.io. You can just open that. If anybody doesn't have, then you can help the next person, and if you have a book, then nothing like it. So you can repeat after me. Sanjaya uvacha दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकम् व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्यम् उपसंगम्य राजा वचनम् अब्रवीत्. I'll read the translation and then I'll have you all read in the circles the one verses, because we've tried to cover today from 2 to 11. So everyone probably will get to read the purport of one verse. Okay, I'll read the translation and then somebody can read the purport. Sanjaya said, "O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words." So we'd like to start, Prabhu, with you first. Yeah, Prabhu.
Dhritarashtra was blind from birth. Unfortunately, he was also bereft of spiritual vision. He knew very well that his sons were equally blind in matter of religion, and he was sure that they could never reach an understanding with Pandavas, who were all pure since birth. Still, he was doubtful about the influence of the place of pilgrimage, and Sanjaya could understand his motive in asking about the situation in the battle. Sanjaya wanted, therefore, to encourage the despondent king and thus assured him that his sons were not going to make any sort of compromise under the influence of holy bliss. Sanjaya therefore informed the king that his son Duryodhana, after seeing the military force of Pandavas, at once went to the commander-in-chief Dronacharya to inform him about the real position. Although Duryodhana is mentioned as the king, he still had to go to the commander on account of the seriousness of the situation. He was therefore quite fit to be a politician. But Duryodhana's diplomatic veneer could not disguise the fear he felt when he saw the military arrangements of the Pandavas.
Okay, so today in all these verses we are going to hear some of the very amazing way the Duryodhana is going to approach his people. Okay, and the way he's going to speak is also very interesting, and that is what Srila Prabhupada will try and help us understand. See, that is what the Bhagavad Gita is all about, right? That how do we understand this Bhagavad Gita, right? So now here what is happening in the second verse, that after Dhritarashtra done speaking, right? Now Sanjay replied to him. He asked what is happening, right? So he's describing that Duryodhana is actually going to go to his military commanders and all the other big people, right? Now the most important thing here, as Srila Prabhupada points out, that now somebody asking a question, right? That India and Australia get together in the Ahmedabad Modi Stadium, Narendra Modi Stadium, right? At 11 a.m. What did they do? Is that a question? Did they play gilli danda? Did they play football? Did they play? It's a cricket ground. They had played. It's a cricket team. So they are going to fight, right? But here he had a doubt in his mind that because the place is very pious, Kurukshetra, is my sons, hopefully they are not withdrawing from the war. Because Dhritarashtra was very, very attached to be a acting king or an acting king. Because his son is a king, then automatically he will have all the royal treatment and everything else, right? So he wanted to have that ego thing to be there. So he was just inquiring, and that is why Sanjaya, knowing his master's mind very well, is replying in a way saying that King Duryodhan, even though the Duryodhan was not king, Duryodhan was still not appointed as a king, but just he called that out so that Dhritarashtra was feeling that the match hone wala hai, cricket match hone wala hai, the youth is going to happen, right? So that is what Srila Prabhupada is making it very clear. So now we'll read the third verse. Pashyetam Pandaputranam Acharya Mahartim Chamum Vyudham Drupada Putrena Tau Shishyena Dhimata. Yeah, Vishnu Prabhu, you can read next.
Translation. O my teacher, behold the great army of sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Duryodhana, a great diplomat, wanted to point out defects of Dronacharya, the great Brahmana commander-in-chief. Dronacharya had some political quarrel with King Drupada, the father of Draupadi, who was Arjuna's wife. As a result of this quarrel, Drupada performed a great sacrifice by which he received the benediction of having a son who would be able to kill Dronacharya. Dronacharya knew this perfectly well, and yet, as a liberal Brahmana, he did not hesitate to impart all his military secrets when the son of Drupada, Drushtadumna, was entrusted to him for military education. Now, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Drushtadumna took the side of Pandavas, and it was he who arranged for their military phalanx. After having learned the art from Dronacharya, Duryodhana pointed out this mistake of Dronacharya so that he might be alert and uncompromising in the fighting. By this, he wanted to point out also that he should not be similarly lenient in battle against the Pandavas, who were also Dronacharya's affectionate students. Arjuna especially was his most affectionate and brilliant student. Duryodhana also warned that such leniency in the fight would lead to defeat.
Okay, so now this is going to be one of the very very interesting verse. अभी समझो कि अगर आपको ये तात्पर्य नहीं दिया जाएगा, अगर if purport is not given, how will you understand this verse? कि यहाँ पे दुर्योधन कैसे बात कर रहा है, हाँ, और कैसे एड्रेस कर रहे, समझ में नहीं आएगा अपने को किसी को, हाँ. तो इसके लिए यहाँ पे if you see very beautifully says, "O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu." And why did he go to Drona first of all? Because Drona was the most key person in his army. Drona and Bhishma, those were the best. Like, Even Bhishma alone can defeat Pandavas and he can destroy the entire opponent's army. There was no issue at all. Or Drona, because Drona is the one who taught them. Can you imagine? So that's why he goes to Drona first. And the most amazing thing he says to Drona, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the sons of Drupada. So here हम लोग दुर्योधन को बहुत गाली देते हैं, बहुत ऐसा है वैसा, बट ही वॉज वेरी वेरी कनिंग एंड वेरी स्मार्ट हाउ टू यूज द चॉइसेस्ट वर्ड्स. जैसा बोलते हैं ना कि अगर सोना किसी कचरे में भी पड़ा हो तो किसी को शर्म नहीं रहेगी ना. अगर मैं बोलूंगा कि यहाँ पे बाजू में जो कचरे का ढेर है म्यूनसिपलिटी का, वहां पे 1 किलो सोने का बिस्किट गिर गया है, हाँ, या तो 1 किलो बिस्किट तो नहीं होगा, ईट होगी राइट. समझो कि भाई सोने की ईट वहां पे गिर गई है 1 किलो की, तो क्या होगा? यार कचरा है, कौन जाएगा? कोई ऐसा होगा क्या? नहीं ना, सब लोग जाके उठा के लेके आएंगे कैसे भी करके, चाहे कितना भी गंदा कचरा रहने दो, पूरा गटर में भी क्यों ना पड़ा हो. हाँ, 1 किलो सोना मतलब इट्स अ लॉट ऑफ वैल्यू, राइट? सो पीपल विल डू दैट. इवन चाणक्य सेज दैट इफ द गोल्ड इज ही, वो तो एक भी भयंकर शब्द यूज करते हैं, गोल्ड अगर स्टूल में भी पड़ा हो ना तो ले सकते हैं, क्योंकि वो कभी इम्प्योर नहीं होता है वो चीज. हाँ, सो लाइक दैट, अगर किसी के पास कुछ नॉलेज है, चाहे कितना भी बुरा हो, पर उसमें से भी आप कुछ सीख सकते हैं. दुर्योधन बुरा था मानते हैं, पर उसमें से भी कुछ सीख सकते हैं हम कि वो कैसे बात करता था. ही वॉज वेरी स्मार्ट हाउ टू एड्रेस, बट हिज पर्पस वॉज रॉन्ग, हिज इंटेंशन वॉज रॉन्ग. दैट इज, वी शुड करेक्ट अवर इंटेंशन, बट वेन वी स्पीक the way he was doing it, it can be so beneficial. Huh? So what did he do? He went to Drona, and the first thing he brought out is 2 important words he brought out yahan pe. First is disciple and the second is the son of Drupada. So does anybody know who was Drupad? So abhi main ek bahut achhi kahani batane wala hu aap logo ko, jaise maine wo WhatsApp mein bhi likha tha. It's a very interesting story. So Drupad and Drona, they were the best of the friend. वो बहुत घनिष्ठ मित्र थे अपने बचपन से. वो लोग सेम गुरुकुल में गए थे. तो बचपन में जैसे आप लोगों के दोस्त रहते हैं ना, तो आप लोग एक दूसरे को बहुत कुछ प्रॉमिस कर देते हो, हम लोग साथ में ही रहेंगे, मेरे पास चाहे कितना भी हो जाए मैं तुम्हारे साथ शेयर करूंगा. तो द्रोणा वॉज एनीवेज अ सन ऑफ अ ब्राह्मणा, एंड ध्रुपद जो थे वो राजा के पुत्र थे. पर अभी जब भी आप बचपन में छोटे होते तो आपको कुछ ऐसा लगता नहीं कि भाई राजा का पुत्र वगैरह क्या, थोड़ा बहुत समझ में आता है, बट फिर भी वो इतने दोनों घनिष्ठ मित्र हो गए. तो उसने क्या बताया द्रोणा को कि मैं मेरा जो राज्य है आपके साथ आधा शेयर करूंगा, जब भी मुझे वो राज्य मिलेगा, जब मैं राजा बनूंगा इस देश का, तभी मैं आधा राज्य आपको दे दूंगा. उतने गाढ़ मित्र थे, उतने घनिष्ठ मित्र थे वो दोनों. हाँ, तो अभी क्या होता है कि ग्रेजुएट हो गए दोनों, अपने अपने उसमें चले गए. ऑल ऑफ अस नाउ कैन रिलेट आफ्टर गेटिंग इनटू द वर्क. हमारे पुराने दोस्त लोगों को व्हाट्सएप पे या तो फेसबुक में देखना पड़ता है, बाकी उतना जो इंटीमेसी के साथ हम लोग टाइम स्पेंड करते थे वो अभी नहीं कर सकते हैं. तो हर एक की अपनी अपनी चैलेंजेस होने लगी लाइफ की. ये यहाँ पे राजा बन गया, द्रोणाचार्य कंटिन्यू टू बी अ पुअर ब्राह्मणा, और उसकी शादी हो गई. शादी के बाद उसको बच्चा भी हो गया, और वो बच्चे का नाम था अश्वत्थामा. पर वो इतने गरीब थे बेचारे कि जब ये अश्वत्थामा दूध मांगता था ना, तो उनके पास दूध भी नहीं था. तो उसकी माँ क्या करती थी, पानी में आटा मिला के, हाँ, तो क्या होता है वो व्हाइट कलर जैसा सब्सटेंस बन जाता है. तो अश्वत्थामा को वो दूध बता के पिलाती थी. अभी छोटे बच्चे को क्या मालूम कि दूध, उसको इतना पता होता है कि व्हाइट कलर का होता है दूध. भाई अभी टेस्ट कैसा होता है वो तो बाहर जाने की प्रथा नहीं थी तभी, तो वो पीता था. और वो द्रोणाचार्य को देख के बहुत ही दर्द होता था. तो उसको क्या हुआ कि उसको याद आया कि अरे यार मेरा बहुत अच्छा मित्र है, उसने तो मुझे आधा राज्य देने के लिए प्रॉमिस किया है, वो तो सब कुछ नहीं चाहिए मुझे, अगर एक गाय भी मिल गई ना तो बहुत है. सो मेरा बच्चा एटलीस्ट प्योर दूध पी सकता है. तो अभी वो जाता है द्रुपद के राज्य में जाता है. हाँ, और द्रुपद के राज्य में जाता है जब भी, और उनसे मांगता है मतलब पहले तो बातचीत करता है और बोलता है कि द्रुपद डू यू रिमेंबर अपना प्रॉमिस. एंड द्रुपद अभी बड़ा हो गया, बड़ा किंग है. विच प्रॉमिस आर यू टॉकिंग अबाउट? यू चीटर कम एंड लाइक आस्किंग लाइक अ बेगर, गेट आउट फ्रॉम माई किंगडम. तो उसको पूरा इंसल्ट करके निकाल देते, अपमान करके उनका, निकल जाओ यहाँ से, भीख मंगो की जगह नहीं है हमारे राज्य में, हमारे राज्य में कोई भिखारी नहीं है, निकलो यहाँ से. सो द्रोणा वॉज वेरी अपसेट. द्रोणा ने बोला ठीक है, तेरा भी दिन आएगा एक दिन. सो देन द्रोणा डिसाइड्स कभी मुझे कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा. सो देन द्रोणा डिसाइड्स टू स्टार्ट टीचिंग टू द पांडवास एंड द कौरवास बेसिकली. सो देयर इज ऑल्सो अनदर स्टोरी, एक कहानी है जिसके में अभी हम नहीं जाएंगे. बट लॉन्ग स्टोरी शॉर्ट, वो लोग खेल रहे होते हैं बच्चे लोग और उनका बॉल गिर जाता है कुएं में. एंड द्रोणाचार्य वहां पे आते हैं और वो लोग बहुत ट्राई करते हैं बॉल निकालने का. बट द्रोणाचार्य डज समथिंग अमेजिंग. वो तिनका लेते हैं घास का और अंदर डालते हैं कुएं में, विच इज मे बी 100 feet डीप. और एक एक तिनका ऐसे डालते हैं और वो बॉल में चिपक जाता है वो तिनका. पर अभी एक तिनका चिपकने से थोड़ी ना होगा, तो 100 feet डीप है. तो एक के बाद एक वो घास का तिनका डालते हैं तो पीछे का जो पार्ट होता है उसमें वो फिट हो जाता है दूसरा वाला. उतना एम उनका पक्का रहता है घास के तिनके का. कैन यू इमेजिन? तो व्हाट टू स्पीक ऑफ, ही मस्ट बी अ ग्रेट आर्चर, इजंट इट? उनकी धनुर्विद्या कितनी जबरदस्त रहेगी. तो ऐसे करते 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 एक ऐसा पूरा रस्सी बना दिया उन्होंने तिनके का और ऐसे पूरा भाल बाहर निकाला. अभी कैन यू इमेजिन, राजकुमार लोगों ने ये देख लिया तो जाके बात करेंगे कि भैया ये कौन है. तो भीष्म को पता हो गया ही कुड बी नन अदर देन द्रोणाचार्य. सो देन वो अपॉइंट करते हैं द्रोणाचार्य कि आप हमारे बच्चों को धनुर्विद्या सिखाओ. हाँ, तो तभी वो धनुर्विद्या सिखाते हैं. एंड देन जब भी वो लोग ग्रेजुएट हो जाते हैं धनुर्विद्या से, तभी द्रुपद बोलता है कि अभी मुझे गुरु दक्षिणा चाहिए. तो सब लोग तो तैयार थे, बोलो गुरुदेव आपको क्या चाहिए गुरु दक्षिणा में. तो बोले गुरु दक्षिणा में मुझे द्रुपद चाहिए. आई नीड द्रुपद एज अ बंदी. आप बंदी बना के उसको मेरे पास लेके आओ. हाँ, तो देन फर्स्ट दुर्योधन और उसका टीम जाता है पर कुछ कर नहीं पाता है. फिर अर्जुन, भीम वगैरह सब जाते हैं, पांडवस तो जाते हैं और द्रुपद को डिफीट करते हैं और उसको बंदी बना के लेके आते हैं. किसके पास? द्रोणाचार्य के पास. एंड इट्स अ ग्रेट इंसल्ट. नाउ इट्स बेसिकली वो किंगडम उसका हो गया, उसने तो हार गया ना किंगडम पूरा उसके, और को गुरु को समर्पण कर दिया. ये मतलब ये अभी पूरा किंगडम किसका हो गया? द्रोणाचार्य का हो गया. And it is said, we will read further in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna will tell Arjuna that for a Kshatriya, the insult is worse than death. अपमान एक मृत्यु से भी घातक है. हाँ, तो अभी द्रोणाचार्य ने इतना अपमान किया इसका और बोला चलो जाओ ठीक है, आधा किंगडम में दे देता हूं तुमको. The one which Drupad was supposed to give. Now this person is saying Dronacharya कि अभी मैं आपको देता हूं. Now just you see the ego of the big people also, okay? It's like, no matter how or who you are, the ego doesn't leave you. Huh? But we'll see the story has another interesting thing into it. And as I promised, like, you will have an aha moment, like, wow, ऐसा भी होता है. That is what wow moment is coming. So now Drupad insult होके जाता है. Now he takes a vow that I want somebody who can kill Dronacharya. क्योंकि उसको पता था कि मेरे में क्षमता नहीं है द्रुपद को मारने की. सो वो यज्ञ करता है और यज्ञ में मांगता है कि मुझे एक पुत्र दो जो इस द्रोणाचार्य का वध करेगा. तो उससे उसका पुत्र धृष्टद्युम्न पैदा होता है यज्ञ से. सब लोगों ने सुना होगा ना पुत्र कामेष्ठी यज्ञ वगैरह. वो अभी आज के जमाने में वो सब मंत्र वगैरह होने चाहिए तभी जाके वो सब होता है. दिस वॉज इन द द्वापर युगा. अपने पास अभी उतने क्वालिफाइड ब्राह्मणास भी नहीं है. ब्राह्मण जाते हैं बेचारे को, एक कथा करने के बाद दूसरे कथा के बीच में बीड़ी फूकना पड़ता है बेचारे को, या तो सिगरेट फूकना पड़ता है, हाँ, या तो तंबाकू खाना पड़ता है, या तो गुटखा खाना पड़ता है. सो दोज आर नॉट ब्राह्मणास एंड वी आर नथिंग अगेंस्ट देम. At least they know something and they are trying to help us to do some of these rituals and other things, which is good. We should continue that. I'm not saying that we should stop the rituals. वो अपने आदत से मजबूर है, but nonetheless he has some knowledge to perform the अपने rituals, so which is really good. Now धृष्टद्युम्न हो गया. अभी धृष्टद्युम्न किसके पास सीखने जाएगा? क्योंकि उस टाइम के बेस्ट टीचर थे IITs. द बेस्ट IIT was the Gurukul of Dronacharya. So can you imagine द्रुपद अपने बच्चे धृष्टद्युम्न को द्रोणाचार्य के गुरुकुल में धनुर्विद्या पढ़ने को भेजता है. एंड कैन यू इमेजिन द्रोणाचार्य नोइंग वेरी वेल कि धृष्टद्युम्न इज हिज फ्यूचर, मृत्यु है उसकी, वो एक्सेप्ट करता है उसको. वो एक्सेप्ट करता है नॉट जस्ट फॉर द दुनिया को दिखाने के लिए, पर वो सही में उसको धनुर्विद्या सिखाता भी है. tells him everything about not just Dhanurvidya but how to fight the wars also. And that is why it is said here, right, कि यहां पे जो पूरा जो व्यू बनाया था, हाँ, पूरी जो स्ट्रेटजी थी वो किसकी थी? धृष्टद्युम्न की थी. सब सोचो, what are values? See, they had the egos, we also have the egos, but they had what? Values. We don't have values. That's the problem of Kali Yuga. No matter what, values को नहीं छोड़ा उन्होंने कभी भी. But Kali Yuga में that's where the problem happened. Right? So now that is where Duryodhana, being a very cunning fellow, बहुत ही चतुर आदमी, वो जाके क्यों बोला कि तुम्हारा शिष्य, अभी उनके एक ही शिष्य नहीं थे, उनके सारे शिष्य सामने भी थे बाकी के पांडवास, तो इसके लिए उनको रिमाइंड कराना चाहता था कि ये भी शिष्य है और वो भी शिष्य ही है, तो तुमको कुछ भेदभाव करना नहीं है. जब भी आप फाइटिंग करोगे तो सबको एक समान देके आपको मारना है सबको. हाँ, तो ही वॉज इंस्टिगेटिंग हिज एंगर. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल किसका नाम लेके? द्रुपद का नाम लेके. अभी वो धृष्टद्युम्न बोल सकता था, तो धृष्टद्युम्न बोलता था ना, तो उसको दिमाग में कुछ भी नहीं आता था. द्रोणाचार्य को उसने क्या बोला? द्रुपद का पुत्र. जैसे ही द्रुपद का नाम आया, इट्स ऑब्वियस, राइट? आपका अगर कोई भी पुराना बैड एक्सपीरियंस है किसी के भी साथ, उसका नाम आते ही पूरा पिक्चर घूमने लगता है दिमाग में, है कि नहीं? So like that. So Duryodhana was very smart and he addressed very specifically like this. Two things he did. Shishya, by calling him as a Shishya of Dronacharya, he said you don't have to discriminate because बाकी के शिष्य भी है तुम्हारे, सबको मारना है. हाँ? And द्रुपद का बेटा है, तो just सोचो तुमको क्या करना है. हाँ? So he instigated that. So we'll read the next verse. अत्र शूरा महेश्वासा भीमार्जुना समायुधि युयुधानो विराटश्च द्रुपदश्च महारथ. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yudhana, Virata and Drupada. You can read.
Even though Drishtadyumna was not a very important obstacle in the face of Dronacharya's very great power in the military art, there were many others who were causes of fear. They are mentioned by Duryodhana as great stumbling blocks on the path of victory, because each and every one of them was as formidable as Bhima and Arjuna. He knew the strength of Bhima and Arjuna, and thus he compared the others with them.
So now the most interesting thing comes. बाकी के लोगों का नाम लेते हैं वो कौन? दुर्योधन. और उनको किन से कंपेयर किया? भीमा एंड अर्जुना. तो उनको बता दिया कि देखो भाई, आपके ही डिसाइपल्स हैं, उनके इक्वल के बाकी के लोग हैं. तो व्हाट ही वांट्स टू डू इज वांट्स टू ब्रिंग एवरीबॉडी ऑन द सेम प्लेटफॉर्म so that he doesn't discriminate fighting करते समय. It's very clear. and यहां पे दुर्योधन की एक माइंडसेट बाहर आती है. हाँ, उनकी कौन सा माइंडसेट बाहर आ रहा है? उनका फियर. वेरी गुड. व्हाट इज दैट फियर? हु वाज ही फियरफुल ऑफ? भीमा. अर्जुन भीम नहीं बोला उसने, क्या बोला? भीम अर्जुन. हाँ, सी देखो, दैट इज वेयर द भगवत गीता बिकम्स इंटरेस्टिंग. हाँ, और ये कोई मेरी क्या बोलते हैं, मेरी बुद्धि नहीं है, ये आचार्यों का लिखा हुआ है ये सब. इसके लिए हमको समझ में आ रहा है. ऐसा नहीं कि आई एम इंटेलिजेंट एंड आई एम ब्रिंगिंग आउट ऑल दिस तात्पर्य ऐसा निकाल रहा हूं, ऐसा नहीं है. यहाँ पे पूरा क्लियरली प्रभुपाद ने लिखा है और बाकी के आचार्यों ने भी इतने अच्छी तरह से समझाया है कि इसमें पूरा उसका फियर. आगे भी आप देखोगे ना, जब भी भीम और अर्जुन का साथ में नाम आएगा, भीम का ही नाम पहले लेगा दुर्योधन. सबसे पहले भीम का नाम लेगा. अभी किसी को पता है कि इतना क्या डरते थे वो भीम से? व्हाट वाज सो फियर अबाउट भीम? किसी को मालूम है? हाँ, पॉइजन भीम एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स, राइट. राइट. पर आपको एक चीज पता है क्या? दुर्योधन का गुरु कौन था? बलराम जी. हाँ, और बताया जाता है कि भीम जो है ना, शक्ति में ज्यादा से दुर्योधन से, बट जो स्किल था ना गदा युद्ध का, उसमें दुर्योधन भीम से ज्यादा निपुण थे. दुर्योधन न्यू हाउ टू यूज द गदा लाइक एनीथिंग. ही वॉज द बेस्ट. पर मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट रीजन दुर्योधन उससे क्यों डरा हुआ था? क्योंकि उसने उसका रुद्र रूप देखा हुआ था. कौन सा रुद्र रूप? कहां पे देखा वो रुद्र रूप? असत सभा. असत सभा मतलब क्या? जो सभा असत लोगों से भरी हुई थी. असत मतलब जो सत्पुरुष, हमको सत्पुरुष पता है ना. असत मतलब जो सत्पुरुष नहीं है, वो असत. हाँ, कौन सी वो सभा थी? जहां पे धृत क्रीड़ा, हाँ, जहां पे गैम्बलिंग मैच हुआ था. वो गैम्बलिंग मैच में एक बहुत ही दर्दनाक और बहुत ही अनस्पीकेबल इवेंट दैट हैपेंड ऑफ डिसरोबिंग ऑफ द्रौपदी. हाँ, द्रौपदी का वस्त्राहरण. और वो जब भी वो लोग कर नहीं पाए, क्योंकि कृष्ण भगवान ने बचा लिया द्रौपदी को, राइट. तो उसके बाद भीम ने 3 प्रतिज्ञाएं ली थी. He took 3 vows. Does anybody know what are those vows? Number 1, what he said? I will kill all the 100 sons. अकेले दुर्योधन को नहीं, पूरे 100 को मैं अकेला खत्म करूंगा. और किया उसने. ही अलोन. ऐसा नहीं कि अर्जुन ने 5 मारे या युधिष्ठिर ने 10 मारे, ऐसा नहीं था. अकेले भीम ने 100 को खत्म किया. सी दैट इज वाई हम लोग बॉलीवुड हॉलीवुड में जाते हैं, लाइक टू सीक ऑल दिस एक्साइटिंग थिंग्स, लाइक यहाँ पे भरा पड़ा है, एंड नॉट जस्ट दैट. इसमें आपको नहीं सिर्फ वो क्या बोलते हैं कि वीर्य रस मिलेगा और ये विभत्स रस मिलेगा, बट साथ में आपको भक्ति भी मिलेगी इसमें. हाँ, दैट इज व्हाट द ब्यूटी इज ऑल अबाउट ऑफ आवर शास्त्रास. उसने पूरे 100 को मारने की सौगंध खाई थी. दूसरा क्या था? हाँ, ड्रिंक द ब्लड ऑफ होम? दुशासन. I'll tear open the chest of Dushasan and drink the blood from his heart. And then what was the third one? Was directly with the Duryodhan. क्योंकि उसने उसकी जंगा दिखाई थी द्रौपदी को, तो बोलते ये I will break that जंगा. I will break that thigh. अभी भीम ने वो जो रौद्र स्वरूप दिखाया था ना, वो उसको तभी भी याद है, तो कभी वो भूल नहीं पाया. इसके लिए वॉज ऑलवेज इन फियर ऑफ भीमा. हाँ, सो दैट वॉज द मेन रीजन. सो विल गो फर्दर. टेक्स्ट नंबर 5. दृष्टकेतुश्चेकिताना काशीराजश्च वीर्यवान् पुरुजीत कुन्तिभोजश्च शैवश्च नरपुङ्गवा. There are also great heroic powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraj, Purujit, Kuntibhoja and Saibya. So he was just trying to make sure that making Bhishma and Drona aware that देख लो भाई ये सब लोग हैं, हाँ, सामने ये सारे फास्ट बॉलर्स खड़े हैं, हमारी क्रिकेट टीम की हालत खराब करने वाले हैं, राइट. विल रीड द नेक्स्ट वर्स. युधमन्युश्च विक्रांत उत्तमो सॉरी उत्तमोजश्च वीर्यवान् सुभद्रो द्रौपदेयश्च सर्व एव महारथ. There are the mighty Yudamanyu, the very powerful Uttamoja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. So we see यहाँ पे कि he is even acknowledging that जो पांडवास के बच्चे हैं, they are also very very powerful. They are all Maharathis. And just so you know that there is a whole description comes in Mahabharat. What is Maharathi? What is Atirathi? Like that. Atirathi means the one is the who can fight with thousands of people. So you may wonder, एक बंदा thousands के साथ, yes, that was the valor that person had. The way they can move around their charioteer and they move around their dhanush was amazing. And then Maharathi can fight with some few hundreds and things like that. So like that, their titles were given. I'll go to the next verse. Asmakam tu visishtaye Tanniboda Dvijottama Nayaka Mama Sainyasya Sangyartha Tana Bravimate. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. So अभी इतना सब बोलने के बाद ना उसको थोड़ा समझ में आ रहा है कि मैं कुछ ज्यादा ही कर रहा हूँ. I'm like really glorifying the opponents. क्योंकि अगर if I just go on glorifying the opponent, my own army will become depressed. हाँ कि भाई क्या कर रहे हो तुम, उसी का गुणगान कर रहे हो, हमारे में भी है ना. So he realized it and now saying, now let me tell you that who are there to fight for us. So that is what is going to happen from verse 8 onwards. Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Kripascha Samitim Jayaha Ashwathama Vikarnascha Somadattasthitesthevas. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. So now Mataji can read the purport. So now Disha Mata, you can read and then pass on to the next.
Duryodhana mentioned exceptional heroes in the battle, all of whom are ever victorious. Vikarna is the brother of Duryodhana. Ashwathama is the son of Dronacharya, and Somaditi or Bhurishrava is the son of king of the Bahilikas. Karna is the half brother of Arjuna, as he was born of Kunti before her marriage with King Pandu. Vikarcharya's twin sister married Dronacharya.
So now here you see the very beautifully Duryodhana calls out the first names that he calls out on the battlefield. Huh? So mind that, it's a very important thing. सबसे पहले वो किसका नाम लेते हैं? Bhavan means you. Bhavan means you. He is addressing to Dronacharya. So first he brings out the name of a Dronacharya. So now आप लोगों ने नाम तो सुना ही होगा, धर्म संकट. हम लोग धर्म संकट में पड़ जाते हैं कभी कभी कि भाई दो इंपॉर्टेंट पर्सनालिटी, अभी किसको फर्स्ट आप ऑनर दोगे. सो लाइक दैट यहाँ पे कौन थे दो इंपॉर्टेंट पर्सनालिटीज फॉर हिम? भीष्म एंड द्रोणा. अभी किसका नाम पहले लेना चाहिए, क्योंकि इसमें बड़ा ईगो प्रॉब्लम भी हो सकता है. ही डिड नॉट से माय नेम फर्स्ट, खत्म, नहीं आऊंगा मैं आपकी शादी में नहीं आऊंगा मैं, मुझे फर्स्ट इनविटेशन नहीं मिला, लाइक आई गॉट द लास्ट इनविटेशन, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू कम. दिस दैट सो मेनी थिंग्स हैपेंस, राइट? सो कई जगह पे धर्म संकट हो जाता. बट दुर्योधन वाज वेरी स्मार्ट. यू नो व्हाट ही थॉट? हु वाज सीनियर? भीष्म वाज सीनियर. सो हर जगह से उनका पहले नाम आना बनता था. बट देन ही वाज स्मार्ट. ही सेड ठीक है, but द्रोणाचार्य कौन है? He is junior, but he is a guru. But on top of that, more than a guru, he was a brahmana. So he said, if I address Drona first, then Bhishma will not mind, because he's a Kshatriya and he knows very well that Brahmana should always be addressed first. So that is how he does it. So you have to be always conscious about what we speak. That is very, very important, and that is what we are learning today from Duryodhan. Like, how you speak is very important. How you speak is very important, and that is what is coming in. We'll see one more classic example of how Duryodhana speaks so amazingly. And then does anybody know that who was the commander in chief of the army of Duryodhan side? Bhishma, right? And do you know Karna, when did he start fighting? On the first day he was fighting for Duryodhana. You know what did he say? He said, if Bhishma is a commander in chief, because he was also a great warrior, right? So just see the egos, He said, I will not fight until this. He used to hate Bhishma, by the way. He used to say, until this old man is out, I'm not going to fight, because I fight. Just his thought process. And that is there are so many people who glorify Karna, but you also have to understand what was his mentality as well. He was Danvir, everything was there, but his mentality was not right. You know what did he say? He said that fight मैं करूंगा, Bhishma भी करेंगे, but I know that because of me we will be victorious and the glory will go to whom? Commander in chief. अभी जैसे सारे टेस्ट में जीत रहे हैं इंडिया, है कि नहीं? कौन बात कर रहा है? सब रोहित बात कर रहे हैं, है कि नहीं? कैप्टन है, राइट? सो सिमिलरली कमांडर इन चीफ इज भीष्मा. मेहनत मैं करूंगा, ठीक है, मैन ऑफ द मैच मिलेगा, बट सारा ग्लोरी तो कैप्टन को ही जाता है ना. तो क्या फायदा? आई विल नॉट फाइट. कैन यू इमेजिन? आई विल नॉट प्ले द गेम ओनली. इफ आई एम द कैप्टन, देन ओनली आई विल प्ले द गेम. इफ यू डोंट मेक मी द कैप्टन, then forget it. So he did not fight until Bhishma was on bed of arrows. That is Karna. Now who is Vikarna? Duryodhana's brother. Why Vikarna's name is being spoken here? Is he a Maharati? Is he some great person? Is he a great fighter? No. Why Vikarna's name is being called here? Acharyas explain very beautifully. They said Vikarna's name was explained here because Vikarna was the only one in that Asat Sabha who raised a concern saying that this should not happen. You cannot bring Draupadi in this assembly, or you cannot ask for her Vastraharan. It is not a right thing to do. He was the only one. तो उसको क्या था कि कभी भी पार्टी बदल सकता है, कभी भी पार्टी बदल सकता है, तो बेटर है कि उसको अच्छे से इंपॉर्टेंस दो भैया, कि तू हमारे लिए बहुत ही कामकाज नहीं है. हाँ, तो इसके लिए दुर्योधन ने विकर्ण को भी यहाँ पे बड़े. कैन यू इमेजिन अगर आपका नाम ही इज द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया, ही इज दिस, एंड वी हैव वृषांग प्रभु along with them, right? Then Vishang Prabhu feel, wow, I know my name is being called with all the other great personalities. So like that Vikarna, to make him important, right? So that is what exactly happens in this verse. We'll go to the 9th verse. Anye cha bahava sura mad arthe tyaktva jivita nana shastra praharnaha सर्वे युद्ध विशारदा. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. Who can read the next? You can pass me the next.
In other words, it's already for joining the party of sinful Duryodhana. Duryodhana was of course confident of his victory on the account of the above mentioned combined strength of his friend.
Now see, this is also another thing. A very interesting, our acharyas explain. See the mindset. यहाँ पे बोला कि ये लोग मरने ही वाले हैं. They already declared they have come here to lay down their life for me. So just see what is that I, you know, so much of I, me, and mine. So that is what is being called out very clearly in this verse by our acharyas. That no matter how crooked you are, no matter who you are, but ultimately your whole thing comes out in the words, you know. He literally said, you have come here to lay down your life. If you are really confident of your victory, right, you should have said, you have come here to enjoy the victory with me. Right? You have come here to lay down your life with me. So in one sense, maybe he is pepping them up, but he's not realizing that he is actually calling out a negative terms here. Right? So we'll go to the next verse. Now this is a interesting verse, okay? Aparyaptam tat asmakam
Aparyatam tadasmakam
balam bhishma virakshitam
balam bhishma virakshitam
paryaptam tva idam etasham
paryaptam tvam
balam bhima virakshitam.
balam bhima virakshitam.
Our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. Who wants to read the next purport?
An estimation of comparative strength is made by Duryodhana. He thinks that the strength of his armed forces is immeasurable, being specifically protected by the most experienced general, grandfather Bhishma. On the other hand, the forces of the Pandavas are limited, being protected by a less experienced general, Bhima, who is like a pig in the presence of Bhishma. Duryodhana was always envious of Bhima because he knew perfectly well that if he should die at all, he would only be killed by Bhima. But at the same time, he was confident of his victory on account of the presence of Bhishma, who was a far superior general. His conclusion that he would come out of the battle victorious was well asserted.
Okay. So now here the first word aparyaptam, ये संस्कृत वर्ड है बट फिर भी हिंदी से काफी मिलता जुलता है ना. तो अपर्याप्तम के एक्चुअली दो मीनिंग होते हैं संस्कृत में भी. व्हाट आर द टू मीनिंग्स? वन इज इमेजरेबल, दैट मीन्स लाइक इट्स एन अनलिमिटेड स्ट्रेंथ. एंड द सेकेंड मीनिंग इज इनसफिशिएंट ऑल्सो. नाउ अभी सामने वाला कैसे समझना है वो समझेगा. इसके लिए ना कभी कभी वो बोलते हैं ना, अल्टीमेटली यहाँ पे अपना दिमाग खराब है, बदल पीपल से डबल मीनिंग, राइट? द डबल मीनिंग डोंट से इट इन द बैड मीनिंग, बैड पर्सपेक्टिव, बट सी इट फ्रॉम अ संस्कृत में वन वर्ड कैन हैव अ मल्टीपल मीनिंग्स एंड पीपल कैन अंडरस्टैंड सम ऑफ दिस वर्ड्स बेस्ड ऑन देयर लाइक साइकोलॉजी. नाउ इंपॉर्टेंट वर्ड इज योर साइकोलॉजी. नाउ हियर भीष्म क्या समझ रहे हैं कि ये क्या बोल रहे हैं कि मैं हूं तो सारी स्ट्रेंथ इमेजरेबल है, मतलब अपने पास पूरा सक्षम है हम लोग. पर द्रोणा क्या सोच रहा है कि भीष्म भी है बट फिर भी स्ट्रेंथ अपर्याप्त है, मुझे कुछ करना पड़ेगा. हाँ, ये इनसफिशिएंट है. इवन तो भीष्म है फिर भी इनसफिशिएंट है. तो उसने एक तीर से दो निशान किए, द्रोणा को भी इंस्पायर किया और भीष्म को भी इंस्पायर किया. सो दैट इज द ब्यूटी ऑफ दुर्योधना, नो हाउ ही डिड दैट whole thing. So that is what I said, like that one more verse is coming where how he uses the word so beautifully. Okay, so we'll read the last verse and we'll have some discussions further. Okay. अयनेषु च सर्वेषु
अयनेषु च
यत् यथा यथा भागम अवस्थिता
यथा भागम् अवस्थिता
भीष्मम् एव विरक्षन्तु
भीष्ममेव विरक्षन्तु
भवन्तः सर्व एक ही एव ही.
भवन्तः सर्व एव हि.
All of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the flanks of the army. Somebody can read the purport.
Duryodhana, after praising the prowess of Bhishma, further considered that others might think that they had been considered less important. So, in his usual diplomatic way, he tried to adjust the situation in the above words. He emphasized that Bhishma was undoubtedly the greatest hero, but he was an old man, so everyone must especially think of his protection from all sides. He might become engaged in the fight, and the enemy might take advantage of his full engagement on one side. Therefore, it was important that other heroes not leave their strategic positions and allow the enemy to break the phalanx. Duryodhana clearly felt that the victory of Kurus depended on the presence of Bhishma. He was confident of full support of Bhishma and Dronacharya in the battle because he well knew that they did not even speak a word when Arjuna, their Draupadi, in a helpless condition, had appealed to them for justice, while she was being forced to appear naked in the presence of all great generals in assembly. Although he knew that the two generals had some sort of affection for Pandavas, he hoped that these generals would now completely give it up, as they had done during the gambling performances.
So now here finally Duryodhana is announcing to this army, because he was just saying, "Ke, I have just called all the important people. What about the others?" So he just telling everyone, "Hey, come on, guys! You have to protect Bhishma and give him all your support so that we become victorious." So now he's just making everybody that all of you are also very, very important, right? So that is the very amazing way how Duryodhana addresses to his army. So that is what we discussed today from 2 to 11. Those whatever 10 verses that we did today is nothing but talks about how Duryodhana was so tactfully, so diplomatically is addressing his own army. And that is what we learned some of these things today, right? Like the aparyaptam word, how you use a word so that both are understanding in their own positive way, right? Then he talked about the son of a Drupada, right? So how he instigated Drona to fight, because reminding him that your enemy is right there, as an opponent, right? And also we talked about his mindset, the fear specifically, right? He always talked about Bhima, right? Here he says his army is being protected by the Bhima and everything else, right? Now I'll tell just one last story, that how this Duryodhana was so cunning and how Karna was always so demanding. So Karna knew very well, who was the main enemy of Karna? Arjuna, right? He had nothing to do with anyone else. His main enemy was Arjuna, right? So he knew very well that Arjuna's chariot driver is who? Krishna. So he said, I also want somebody, reputed person. तुम ऐसे ही किसी को मेरा chariot driver नहीं बना सकते. So now Duryodhana was wondering who that can be. So there was one very amazing chariot, not just a chariot driver, but he was a king of Shalya. So his name was Shalya himself, right? So he was coming, and he was coming from a very far place. Huh? So in between, he needed somewhere to rest and all those things. And he was actually coming to join Pandava's army. Now see here, another value will come out, right? So he's actually come to join Pandava's army because he was the uncle of Pandavas. Huh? Now, when he was trying to rest someplace, so Duryodhana उनके आदमी लोग को भेज देता है, बोलता है कि शैल्य आ रहा है, एक काम करो, उसको अच्छे से उसकी आगता स्वागता करो, उसको बहुत अच्छे से मेहमान नवाजी करो उसकी. तो उसके बहुत अच्छे से उसको रखते हैं, excellent guest reception, everything is given. And then finally this guy becomes very pleased. So you know what he says? He says, जिसने भी ये व्यवस्था की है ना, वो जो मांगेगा मैं दे दूंगा उसे. And then suddenly दुर्योधन भाई अपीयर हो जाते हैं. आप बहुत प्रसन्न है तो हम आपसे सिर्फ एक छोटा सा चीज मांगते हैं. You fight from our side and become the charioteer of Karna. No, because he said the word. And you know, while having all this reception, he did not know that who has arranged for this. He was thinking that I am going to fight for Pandavas. So युधिष्ठिर ने ही किया ये सब. उनके उसमें वही चल रहा है. But just because he gave the word, he was the uncle of Pandavas. Can you imagine? Just because he gave the word that whatever you ask, I will give. Khatam. Even in Dwapar Yuga mein, there were people who could stand by their words. So that is what is really happening. And here we see now that Duryodhan is saying, again coming to the battle cake, right? As the pops away we were discussing, right? So depending on these people, objects, positions and situations, you see different things in the perspective of obstacles or opportunities. So here Duryodhana is exactly calling those out. What are my obstacles and what are my opportunities? That is what is happening in verse 2 to 11. Okay, and next time we will take the verse from 12 onwards. We'll go almost up to 21. So we'll cover another 9-10 verses. And the theme mostly in those verses is we'll see the various signs that is being called out in Bhagavad Gita, which tells that the victory will be of Pandavas. So we'll see those verses. So please don't miss it. It's going to be a very interesting journey. And the one last thing I would like to conclude with is the most important thing is how we speak. It's very, very important. Because believe me, I have experience in my own life. What you speak is definitely important. There is no doubt about that. You have to choose your words very importantly. And how you speak is also very, very important. And we see here in case of Duryodhana, even though people hated him, right? But somehow or other they are on his side because of their pratigyas and everything else. But the way he is speaking, people are appreciating. Right? So what to speak of us? So when we speak, majority of the problems that we get into in our family relationships is because of the speech. As they say, the words are mightier than the swords. Believe me. Here what magic Duryodhana is doing for his army is just through the words. The whole World War II is based on words coming from Mr. Hitler. Believe me, it just the words. His speech made people lay down their life, as what he's saying. And for us, we are not that at the political level or whatever, that words is definitely, our words are good, but we do have a control over some people, right? So what we are going to speak is going to make a big difference. So if you mind your speech, or if you, what is the best word to call? They call it watch your words, right? What does that mean is you have to be very, very careful what you are speaking. एंड वो बोलने के बाद ना आप चाहे कितना भी कर लो फैमिली में, नहीं मेरा ये मतलब नहीं था बोलने का, आई वॉज एक्चुअली नॉट मीनिंग दैट एट ऑल, प्लीज डोंट टेक इट दिस वे, खत्म, बाहर निकल गया एक बार, वो वापस नहीं आएगा, वो उसका जो भी नुकसान करना है वो करके ही जाएगा वो. इसके लिए as they say, the fool is not identified until he speaks, he or she speaks. It's like that. So कई बोलते हैं ना कि नहीं बोलने में, गुजराती में कहावत है, न बोलो में 9 गुण. हाँ, so if you don't speak, there are actually 9 qualities that are there in that. But अगर बोल दिया तो फिर बात खत्म हो गई. So that is what we learn from Duryodhan, for our family life. That is a practical lesson that we can take today. Is how we should be careful and not hurting. And our intention should be very clear. And along with the intention also, we should refine our speech. That is very, very important. And believe me, if you do that, your family life will become Vaikuntha. It will become very blissful. It will become very nice. क्योंकि many times, believe me, what we speak now, वो अपना नहीं रहता है. But then the other person takes it, it's गया वो, खत्म हो गया बात. खत्म हो गया. Even with the kids really take it up. How their parents speak to them. Just because, the parents do not speak the way the children expect, they feel that, you didn't guide me in my career, you didn't motivated me properly, you didn't do this. So your speech becomes the most important ingredient. And Bhagavad Gita teaches us. Can you imagine what a valuable lesson that Bhagavad Gita teaches us? And then we feel, oh, Bhagavad Gita is just ठीक है, ऐसे पूजा करने के लिए तो है, but इसमें से कितना कुछ सीखने का है, बहुत कुछ सीखने का. And the most important thing that we learn today is how we speak. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So any questions or comments from anybody? Yes.
ये जो वार्ता है वो द्वापर युग के समय की है. इसमें कृष्ण ने बहुत एम्फसाइज किया ये पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन में कि जिस तरीके से दुर्योधन जी बात कर रहे थे उसका बहुत इम्पैक्ट था. The words were quite powerful at that time. But sometimes, like in this particular युग, कली युग की बात कर रहे हैं, कुछ चीजें हम बोल देते हैं, and other person interprets in one particular way, and we try to explain or it's too late or this. So words का क्या power है? मतलब वो karmic power क्या होता है? कि words will they come to haunt us back, जो उन्होंने कहा है, or there is a.
So it's not going to come to haunt you, but the damage is done. So you have to pay for the damage, right? And believe me, it's all about how we speak. And I have seen with my personal eyes and in my own experience, we have one amazing gentleman named Vrishabhanu Prabhu in our congregation, in our devotee community. He is actually PhD professor. It's not about his PhD or professor, but he's such a cultured person. We had one very difficult thing to talk about, saying that कि भाई आप लोग ये जो कर रहे हैं वो सही नहीं है. Other people were just sending emojis and doing all these things. This person wrote 5 to 7 lines, but not a single word in that was offensive, and it was very well communicated. Very well communicated. The communication, as I said, is not about your words. It is important. But your intent, how you communicate your intent with your words, that is what is going to be the key of communication. That's why I learned in the communication seminar. The communication is not about speaking and interacting. Communication is about how you communicate your intent to the other person. That you are important to me. I really appreciate what you're doing. You may say it. See, there are two ways. I hope you're getting my point. If you're not able to communicate your intent, that's a problem. That is called miscommunication. It's not about कि मैंने आपको बताया नहीं था ये चीज. ऐसा नहीं है. The problem is you did not communicate your intent to me. You communicated the information. There's a difference between information and intent. You're getting the point. So if that is being taken care, nice. And that comes with the practice, by the way. It's not आज सुना और कल से practice में 100% ऐसा नहीं है. अभी लोग ने आज पढ़ा और कल 100% मार्क आ गया, ऐसा नहीं है. You have to go on repeating, right? अभी सचिन तेंदुलकर स्ट्रेट ड्राइव मारता है, ऐसा नहीं है कि एक ही बार बताया उसके कोच ने कि भाई ऐसे स्ट्रेट ड्राइव मारने का हो गया. He has to master that stroke, right? So much practice required. So similarly, if you want to perfect our communication, so much practice is required on this. And that practice comes with our introspection. That's when we study scriptures, when we learn. First of all, the half battle is one that we acknowledge कि भाई इधर problem है. बाकी के लोगों को जाके पूछो, उनको पता ही नहीं है कि ये problem है. The how I speak is a problem. The what I communicate is a problem. उनको पता ही नहीं है. They will, इसमें क्या कौन सी बड़ी बात है. But at least now we understood that it's a problem to be addressed. Right? So does that help? Yeah. Any other questions or comments or any discussion points? Anybody? Okay, if not, then if there are any questions, then you can come and talk to any one of us as well, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Okay, Vrishang Prabhu is there, Abhishek Prabhu is there, Desha Mataji is there, we have Viral Mataji is there, Jigar Prabhu is there, Bansri Mataji, Prabhuji is there in the back, always in the back. So we all can support you in any way, shape or form. Okay, so we'll conclude here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.